Welcome. Thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started with the session now. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Diana Robinson. I'm the Family Training and Empowerment Specialist here at the Association for Children's Mental Health. I also oversee ACMH's Parent Advisory Committee. I'm here today not just as someone who teaches about advocacy and self-empowerment, but as someone who's lived it. My son has developmental and mental health challenges, and for years, I've had to navigate systems, ask questions, and push for the support he needs. I know many of you are here today because you've had similar experiences, or you're working with folks who have, and you're looking to help them. So whether you're a parent, a caregiver, or someone advocating for yourself or others, we're glad that you're here. This session is designed to help you build a strong foundation for self-empowerment and building those skills to underpin that. We've got 2 months left of the session. We're going to explore communication skills as well as navigating systems and partnerships after this session. We know that all 4 of these strategies will help you feel more confident and equipped in your advocacy journey, wherever you may be starting from. This session is unique in that it features a panel discussion. We have Ryan Klotz here. He's a community transition trainer from Wayne State University's Developmental Disabilities Institute. So Ryan is a powerful advocate, self-advocate, and leader in the disability rights space. We also have Allison Zanella. She's a parent support partner at Macomb County Community Health. And Melissa Snyder. She's also a parent support partner, but she's at Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. All of our panelists bring deep lived experience and professional expertise to this conversation, and they'll be sharing personal insights and inspiring stories to help support and empower parents, caregivers, and professionals just like you. PAC members, I believe we do have 1 PAC member on the session currently, Courtney Stillman. She's a new PAC member. So thank you, Courtney, for joining us. We're going to be talking more about PAC. And then we also have the Youth Advisory Committee that we coordinate here at ACMH. And we have our Youth Advisory Committee coordinator with us, Nadia Dyer-Coronado. Together, we're all deeply passionate about advocating for youth and families. So for now, I just want you to know you're not alone in this journey. We're here to support you. We know how important it is to have the tools, knowledge, and confidence to speak up for your youth's mental health. Welcome, Kelly, CMH of Ottawa County. Appreciate it. Glad that you're here. Thank you, Nadia. So Nadia's she put her email in the chat, just in case you know any youth that might be interested in joining our Youth Advisory Committee. Okay, welcome. We also have Monique Zantop here with us. She's also a part of our Parent Advisory Committee. She's a representative from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you for joining us, Monique. Okay, now while you can continue to introduce yourself and let us know where you're from and what brought you here today into the chat while we go through a little bit of things that would be important to know about the session. Just obviously, we want you to use the chat to ask questions and engage. We do have a guided panel discussion, but we're hoping to have enough time at the end to answer any of your questions. But just know that if something does not get answered, we will do our best to reach out to you and provide that to you. And you will be provided with the presentation slides, any corresponding materials, and a certificate of completion for this session. All right, we have some goals for today. We're really looking with this session to empower you to advocate for yourselves and others in their journey. We also want you, hopefully, to learn some self-care and boundary setting strategies for yourselves and for the youth that you're taking care of, and help guide you in building a supportive network for ongoing resilience. I want to fill you in about ACMH and who we are. ACMH is a statewide nonprofit family-run organization dedicated to meeting the needs of family and children and youth with serious emotional, behavioral, or mental health challenges. This year, I'm proud to say that we're celebrating 35 years of supporting children, youth, and families across Michigan. It's critical to our work and to families throughout our state to bring this kind of awareness about who we are so that we can be a resource to some of our most vulnerable children, youth, and families. Now, I want to take a moment to reflect on where we came from. Back in 1989, two mothers who were driven by love and determination, they founded the Association for Children's Mental Health because they recognized the power of information and connection. They worked hard to bridge the gap between families, professionals, to ensure parents had a voice and children received the care they need. So ACMH's overall mission is to ensure that all Michigan children and youth with emotional, behavioral, or mental health challenges and their families live in a safe, welcoming community with access to the services and the supports they need to thrive. What we do is we provide family-to-family support, so we connect families with others who understand their journey, and we provide education and information, so we seek to equip families with the knowledge they need to navigate systems. We help to support advocacy and networking, ensuring that families' voices are heard and their needs are met. We also help to provide leadership opportunities, empowering families to take an active role in shaping policies and services. So with that, I'm talking a lot about ACMH. You may have visited our website recently. We're currently under a complete rebrand of our website and organization. So it's just a fresh look. We've got the same mission. So if you go to our website, it may look a little different right now, but I'm giving you a sneak peek on this slide right here that shows you our new website and all of our new branding. So I just wanted to let you know that in case you visit our website and you see it looks a little bit different. And because advocacy is a key component of what ACMH provides, and that's exactly what our statewide parent advisory committee is all about. It's made up of a group of dedicated parents and caregivers who are using their voices to create meaningful change in children's mental health. Currently, our PAC is made up of 13 parents and caregivers from across Michigan who are currently raising children and youth with mental health challenges and co-occurring disorders. We meet monthly to discuss key issues, share experiences, and advocate for improvements in mental health services and policies. Right now, we are talking about empowerment and self-advocacy skills. Obviously, we know that caring for a youth with mental health challenges takes strength and resilience. Having these skills can help you advocate confidently for your child and yourself. So on the next slide, I'm going to go ahead and open up a poll. And I want to know, when you hear the word empowerment, what comes to mind? And just give me a moment here to launch the poll. I have some choices there for you. Let's see, here we go. Okay, so you should see, if you don't already, but hover on the bottom of your screen or at the top, you should see an option to participate in the poll. I see that folks are answering. Great. I'm getting a lot of submissions here. When you hear this word, what comes to mind for you? Okay, great. It looks like the majority of us, when we hear this word, what it means to us is feeling confident in using your voice. Next would be knowing my rights and options. That's very empowering, right? It's understanding what are your rights? What are the options that you have? And then third is helping others feel heard. That's important. And then learning and growing through the hard stuff. One person said that. So all of this is important no matter what you chose, but empowerment to most of the people here means feeling confident in using your voice. So thank you for sharing that, your responses. They're the perfect lead into all of what we're talking about today. Empowerment. I'm just going to put it out there to begin with. It starts with us, that intrinsic feeling of being empowered. This includes boundaries, letting go of trying to control everything. It helps us preserve our emotional energy. Empowerment, choosing when and how to respond instead of reacting. This is a form of empowered parenting. And support. It reminds us that we don't have to be perfect. Intentional shifts matter, and support helps. So let's talk about setting boundaries. Sometimes as parents, we have a hard time with the setting boundaries piece, right? Things can become convoluted, or it's hard work, especially when you're dealing with more challenging aspects of, your youth's behavior, right? But you really have to start with recognizing your personal and emotional limits. Practicing self-care without guilt, right? Letting go of the guilt. Guilt is a whole nother topic that we could talk about, but working hard to overcome those feelings of guilt is going to be an important piece to being effective in setting boundaries. Knowing when and how to ask for support. This is an important piece too that can become very blurry in terms of setting boundaries for yourself, practicing self-care. So learning how to recognize when and how to ask for support is important. Regulation and boundaries really involves your own emotional regulation. So practicing calming techniques, the pause and respond technique, not jumping to a response immediately, taking a minute to pause is very helpful. Saying no with kindness. So preparing responses in advance. I, for one, have a very hard time with saying no, and I've had to practice this continuously throughout my lifetime, but it is a good thing to learn, and because you always have the option to step back and prepare an appropriate response in advance. Empowerment through self-advocacy. Developing the confidence, just like what we talked about in the poll, it was evidence there, right? What that means to you, and you're spot on with that. Developing confidence takes time and it takes practice, especially when it involves decision-making, standing up for yourself and in your decisions, standing firm in that is important. Understanding and asserting your own needs. You may need to learn to recognize what those needs are for yourself in order to, be able to assert yourself in that area. Self-advocacy lends to you supporting others in their advocacy journeys. Communication and knowing your rights. We talked about that. That was in the poll as well. Assertive communication, using I statements, practicing role play, finding an accountability buddy or someone to help get you with those tough conversations. And in the poll as well, we said knowing your rights was important and empowering. Diving in, learning about IEPs if you're not sure what that's all about. 504 plan, the medical piece of it, and services. Asking key questions that align with your rights. And so knowing those is going to be important. Building a support system. Identifying and accessing support networks. I will have a handout for you after the session that will list some online support groups. And we will also talk about that more during the panel. But there are support networks out there that you can get involved in that will help you build your support system. Engaging in peer and community support. I think that just you being here is a piece of that as well. So getting involved, building the confidence to get involved so that you can find the right support system for you. So identifying 2 to 3 trusted people. Also documenting everything. This takes discipline. I understand that's not an easy thing to do when things are so chaotic at times, but taking notes as best you can, getting a folder, getting a binder, and practicing on how to document everything, it would be very helpful. Following up and writing to people, that's an important piece of things so that you can keep things rolling along in the right direction, and then tracking your progress as best you can. Like I said, it's not easy to do when you're dealing with something very challenging, but it is something that you can learn over time, and especially as you become more confident in and feel more self-empowered. This is Dr. Purvis. She's no longer with us. Some of you may know of her. She was a developmental psychologist, a powerful advocate for children from hard places. And she's one of the co-creators of Trust-Based Relational Intervention, or TBRI. And this approach was all about connection, trust, and healing. And it has been life-changing for many families. But her message is clear. And I want you to hear this because this comes from, it's a series that she put together called 7 Insights and 7 Gifts. So she shares wisdom for caregivers like us. So I'll go ahead and start that video.
A gift you can give to your child is taking good care of yourself. Find support groups that understand your journey. Find safe friends and neighbors who will give you voice for the journey. Find others who understand the unique challenges, the unique types of loneliness you may experience. Find people who won't judge you if you have periods of depression or angst. Find people who understand. Try to find a little bit of time for yourself. Maybe enlist a friend or a support group to bring dinner once a week. If they bring dinner, you might have 45 minutes for yourself. Find a neighbor who would run your carpool one night a week. Take a quick bubble bath before all the kids get home. In small ways that you nurture yourself, you'll have gifts to give to your child that are fresh and authentic. In our years of working with families who foster and adopt, when I say take care of yourself, I have parents look at me in complete disbelief with the challenges, the needs before them. They find it virtually impossible to find time for themselves. But what I always tell those parents is there's no way for you to continue this journey. There's no way for you to be fresh. There's no way for you to have love and affection to give to a child if you haven't given some care and nurture to yourself. It is not being selfish. It is being wise. Take care of yourself. To the extent that you feel fresh and nurtured and loved and cared for, you'll be able to give that gift to your child.
Okay, so I hope everyone caught that. I will share the link to Dr. Purvis's work. At this point, I have stopped sharing because I want to go ahead and kick off our panelist discussion. And so I'm going to start with some introductions of our panelists. And again, I'm hoping to have time towards the end for questions. All right, so we are honored to welcome three panelists, sorry about that, who I said each bring a deep well of lived experience and professional knowledge to this conversation. We have Ryan Klotz. Ryan is a passionate self-advocate and disability rights leader who spent over 20 years navigating services and advocating for community living and independence. He's a community transitions trainer with Wayne State University's Developmental Disabilities Institute and actively serves on several boards and committees, including the ARC of Northwest Wayne County, the Westland Disability Advocacy Committee, and the Michigan Developmental Disabilities Council's Public Policy Committee. Ryan's personal experience with spina bifida and his advocacy work make him a fierce voice for change and inclusion. We also have Allison Zanella. Allison is a parent support partner with Macomb County Community Mental Health. She supports families through the mental health system with empathy and encouragement, using her lived experience as a parent to guide others through their own journeys. Allison brings a grounded and relatable perspective to this discussion. And lastly, we have Melissa Snyder. Melissa, she is a newly certified parent support partner with Integrated Services of Kalamazoo and a mom of 4. She's deeply rooted in her community and brings firsthand experience navigating systems like CMH, IEPs, CPS, and disability supports for youth. And Melissa has a powerful story of healing, resilience, and advocacy for both herself and her children. And her openness and compassion are sure to inspire. So welcome to our panelists. I'm going to go ahead and I have some questions planned. We'll get the discussion going here. And what I'd like to do, I'll start with Melissa. I'm going to start with you. And Melissa, I'm going to ask you, I'll start with a question, but if you could just give a little bit about yourself at the same, somewhere in there, that would be great too. And then possibly we will have time for the other 2 panelists to chime in on this question. So Melissa, how did you first realize that you needed to set boundaries to protect your well-being or your family's?
Goodness. Well, like you mentioned, I have 4 kids who are all teenagers now, by the way. That's a whole new fun experience, isn't it? I have had my own struggles with mental health, anxiety and depression that I've had to learn to overcome so I could help my children become the best versions of themselves. My oldest one has severe developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities. He was born at 27 weeks and has cerebral palsy. And then I have 3 others that have various forms of mental health issues that they deal with on a regular basis. My kids, their age ranges from 16 is the youngest to 20 is the oldest. And then I have 2 that are 18, one of which is adopted. He's actually my nephew. And when I first realized I needed to set boundaries for my family and for myself was when I realized that their father wasn't either capable or willing, I'm not sure which. He does have his own mental health issues. To look at the situation we were in and change the way he dealt with things. He saw the kids in black and white. They're either good or they're bad. And he could not comprehend or change his thinking to understand that they're not trying to be bad. They're dealing with these things And as a result of the things that they're dealing with, sometimes they choose to do things that are bad, which it doesn't make them bad. They don't need to be punished. They need to be helped. And eventually we had to separate and he had to move out of the home because he refused to change his way of thinking or adapt or try to learn new skills or new ways to handle things.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a very impactful realization of a boundary that you needed to set for yourself.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that, Melissa. How about you, Ryan? What about you in terms of, when you first realized you needed to set boundaries to protect your well-being?
I realized that I needed to set boundaries during my person-centered planning meetings that I do yearly. Everybody in our arena has a person-centered plan that they do every year. Years ago, gosh, again, I've been doing this for 20 years. It started out with everybody who is was and is in my circle is very caring, but it got to be a little much. You are, as a person with a disability and the person receiving services, you're allowed to pick who is involved in your PCP meetings and who is not. I was talked into adding a few more people to my PCP meetings early on, just two more people, but all three of them were mothers. One of them was my own. The other two were other people's mothers. I understand how a mother thinks and how a mother cares, but it stifled my decision making and the way I needed to make decisions for myself. I wasn't able to make decisions for myself. About 6-7 years ago, I decided to scale down my PCP meetings. And ever since, I've had my PCP meetings with myself and my supports coordinators, and that's fine. That's fine with me. Things are much more calmer these days.
That's really good, Ryan. I can see that that would be an important thing to do, right? Because it's less effective when you're not able to manage. So you had to find a way to set a boundary in order to make that happen. Yeah, thank
And
you.
it was difficult because I was the yes man. I still am in some ways, but
Yeah,
I had to make that decision. It was difficult too to say no.
right.
So I
Right.
finally learned.
That's good. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. How about you, Allison?
I can relate a little bit to what Ryan said, being the mom in the room. And a lot of times it's up to mom when kids are little to make the decisions, right? We got 18 years where it's all on us. And a lot of times when you're in some of these meetings, IEP meetings, PCP meetings, and for our family, when it's comes to making medical decisions for our kids, sometimes too many people at the meetings makes it harder because there's so many opinions and so many emotions tied to those opinions that I had to learn very quickly who was and who was not allowed in the room, and then who was and was not allowed to give their opinions either before the meetings or after the meetings as a result of the decisions that I made, because it just holding everybody else's emotions in regards to the hard things takes away the voice that I'm trying to be for my boys.
Yes, yes, agreed.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Ryan. Were you going to say
No,
something?
I agree with her. I agree with Allison.
Yeah, yeah. That's so impactful. I think that, at some point in this matter, as much as it's so difficult to do, but understanding to get your needs met, you have to be strong in what those boundaries are, the decision that you've made for yourself. And no one is perfect, right? You may realize that at some point that it wasn't the right thing to do, but then you make an adjustment. Don't be afraid to, make an adjustment in that. I think is important too. I get it. So let's move on to another topic, just so we can make sure we stay on track with time. So when we talk about empowerment through self-advocacy, and I'm just going to put it out there, and you pick who wants to take it, and I want to hear from all three of you. But what small step would you recommend to someone who doesn't feel empowered yet, but wants to get there?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak up and speak out. We need more of that. I was just talking to someone yesterday after sharing an opinion on social media, talking to a friend, a peer, I'll say. And she says, Ryan, something to the effect of, Ryan, I'm so impressed with your courage and wanting to share your opinion. And oh, I shared my opinion yesterday. And she said, I've never been able to do that. And I said, you can do that. There's just a responsible way to do it. Don't yell it. Explain it. And just explain how you feel and what you're feeling. Don't be afraid to speak up and speak out. I say that a lot. You have an opinion, you have a voice. Use it.
Right. Yes.
Especially in this community.
Especially
we are a minority group, people with disabilities. We are a minority population, one of many, and we as people with disabilities are often not taken seriously by many, because they group us all into one group of disabilities rather than two. There's developmental and cognitive or intellectual. Too many people group us into cognitive or intellectual, and they don't know their other categories.
Yeah. And yeah, it's otherwise nothing changes, right? Unless
Correct.
we hear from people. So it's important to have faith in that and understand, because there's a lot of that happens where you're like, well, it's just me. I'm sure it won't make a contribution, but it does. And you never know who is hearing that message either at the same time.
Right. Words can be impactful, but words can also hurt. So choose your words carefully. You can be impactful and very assertive, but there's a way to do it.
And learning how to do it, right? To gain the confidence. Thank you, Ryan. How about you, Allison?
Go ahead, Melissa. You had something to say.
I was gonna say, I think it's important to start at your comfort level. Like, not everybody's comfortable to just start like self-advocating. So it's okay to start small. Like, no matter what you're doing, whether it's self-care or setting boundaries or empowering, like advocating, start small, and celebrate your small successes to gain that confidence. And then once you have the confidence, you can keep getting bigger and growing and, speaking out more. And it's important. I mean, some people are comfortable just going full out and stating their opinion, but there's so many more that aren't. And
I've gone full out.
Yeah.
I've gone full out and regretted it. Trust me.
Yeah. And some people are there and some people aren't, and it's okay. It doesn't matter where you're starting in your journey, celebrate the small successes, the small wins, and gain that confidence. And it is important to advocate for yourself, for your family, every aspect of your life, and celebrate the small steps and small wins and successes to gain that confidence.
That's great, Melissa. Thank you. Allison.
I think that when you start on this journey of caring for people with additional needs, you think the professionals in the room are the ones who are going to make the path and know all the right things. But I think the most shocking thing I've learned on this journey is that they know what they're taught in school, but they don't know your person. They don't know your child.
They don't have the lived experience.
They don't have the experience. So you are the expert in your child, which then gives you permission to say the weird thing, right? Like, just say the thing.
Mhm.
And you become empowered a little more every time you say the things. This Melissa and Ryan and I, we didn't get here overnight. This is 8 years in the making for me. I am one of the most introverted, non-confrontational people probably on the face of the earth.
Mhm.
The fact that I'm even doing this, my boss thought it was hilarious. Because I'm quiet and I say the things at work, but it's taken me a really long time to learn how to be comfortable saying all the things with my kids. But now I'll walk into an IEP meeting with highlighted pamphlets and explain my children's diagnoses to their educational team to get them the accommodations that they need. And 8 years ago, I didn't know you could do that.
Mm. Yeah.
But you can
So,
do it. You can tell them all the things and say everything you need to say
mhm.
and get help.
Mhm,
I am
mhm.
also non-confrontational. I not great with confrontation. That's why I'm a coward. I am also a keyboard warrior. Let's say to a degree. I'm learning to be more of a responsible keyboard warrior. Typing, I I would rather type my thoughts rather than speak them because it gives me a chance to say what I feel and what I mean
Mhm,
at my own pace and be able to articulate my words rather
mhm.
than saying them and just throwing them up,
Mm,
and throwing them out.
yeah,
So writing
yeah.
is good for me.
Yes. So you learned that about yourself. You learned
Yes.
about that and about yourself, and that's empowering.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And thank you, Allison, for sharing that. So I'm
Yes.
wondering, I've got one last piece of this before we go into some Q&A. So folks, if you want to think about any questions that you have for the panelists, go ahead and put them in chat and we'll just keep going. And as some questions come in, we'll answer those. But for the panelists, I am wondering how much of a support system, if you like you had at some point to build a support system, and how much of that helped you get to where you are now. So Allison and Melissa, parent support partners, Ryan, you being a transition trainer, how much of building a support system played into that?
Ladies first.
It was super important for me. For me, my situation is a little bit different. We came into this initially with medical complexities for our kids. Um, and because of their particular medical complexities, I found a lot of support online in parent Facebook groups for their particular diagnoses. And it was some of those moms that I connected with who essentially taught me how to advocate for my kids. And 8 years later, we're still, texting each other after medical appointments or IEP meetings because that's who I've got. Some of them I've never met in real life, but they are people who are living lives very similar to ours. And so they just get it. And without that, I don't think I would be as strong of an advocate as I am now.
That's huge. The online groups, that was integral for me too. I also have a daughter who has Crohn's disease. So the Facebook support groups, that was key for me. My son, there was a group I joined called Parents of Children with Schizophrenia. And when I joined that group, it was a game changer because I then was tapped into people who were even professionals that had youth of their own they were caring for, that were able to come not only to the, emotionally, but also with things to do. It was very empowering. And the same with the Crohn's disease. I joined a group of parents with youth who have Crohn's disease. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, Allison. How about you, Melissa or Ryan?
So
Melissa?
I think for me, I had a unique experience. I've been on this journey since my oldest one was born, and he's almost 21. And I was only 19 when he was born. So I had to really figure out that it was okay to ask for help and to find support, because I got a lot of, you won't understand, or you're not going to be good at this, or you're too young to get it, or, when I first started out, and I had to learn quickly how to set boundaries with people. And then once I found a couple people that respected those boundaries that I could trust, I could start building a support network from there. Because everybody that loves you wants to support you, right? But if they haven't lived it, they don't always have the right
The right
kind of support.
answers.
Right. They don't always have the right answers or the right kind of support. And
Amen.
it doesn't mean that they don't love you and that they're not there for you. But they can't always be what you need. So then when I did find one or two people that I could trust, then I would start talking to them and be like, man, I'm having this problem. Like, this doctor thinks I'm an idiot because I'm a kid, and I'm not an idiot. I'm smart. They're just talking to me like I'm an idiot. And so they were like, well, you can ask for a different doctor. I was like, what? I can do that? Like,
There are people who try to put themselves in a position of power because they think they know more than you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say this, duct tape fixes a lot of things.
So yeah, it
But
started
no, it's
small, like trusting
yeah.
one person. And then
Yeah.
when I had an issue, asking them, and then they said, hey, I know this person that dealt with that. And then talking to that person, and then the next person. And eventually I found a good support. I wasn't a big online person back then. I am now. So that wasn't at the conception of my support network, at least for me personally. But now I have support all over the place, online, in person, in the community, at work.
It's a
I
great
love
thing,
that.
isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is. It's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, all three of you. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat right now, but again, if anyone has a question. Oh, okay, Shauna, this is for Ryan, which she thanks you for being here. As a parent, she's always trying to find the right balance between advocating for access and accommodations in systems, and choosing or creating spaces where there's more joy, dignity, and freedom from stigma. Like, she chose homeschooling for her child to focus on programs like Special Olympics and the art, because they just felt better for our life and for her child. She's just really curious. How do you think about that balance? What's mattered or matters most to you?
You need to find that those supports that best fit you and you feel fit your child. Focusing homeschooling, I would agree with that, because this world is not always a calming, kind place there, but those mean people, those people who share their opinions way too much, a lot of them speak from non-experience. They speak from they throw up basically, and they say a lot of things that they think would make sense that they don't have that experience to back up what they say.
Mhm.
You need to have that support group, that support system, those support systems
Mhm.
that make you feel confident and good, and also make your child feel good. Ask your child, what they want. Ask your
Mhm.
child what they need, while also keeping their peace in mind, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I hope that helped, Shauna. And, I will provide information to reconnect if you want to connect with any of our panelists as well to follow up on anything. And I want to get to Courtney's question. We have a couple of minutes left before we close out the session or go into our closing portion of the session here. But Courtney says, where is the starting point to find what options are out there? Like, what's the starting point? Like services, rights, etc., especially when kids are little and you have symptoms but lack a definitive diagnosis. So where's a good starting point to find options? What the
And
options
and services. Ladies, can I? I've been waiting for this question, so because I had a feeling it would come up. Mine started with my mother. My mother is probably my biggest advocate. Always has been. 2003, she made a phone call to, I don't know the acronym anymore. It's Community Living Services in Wayne. Okay. It used to be Managed Care Provider Network. There are too many darn acronyms. I stopped keeping up with them. But it is an organization. Community Living Services is an organization that helps you manage your needs, financial, daily life, medical, and helps organize the services that you need. My mother made that call in 2003. I met with them and started working with them in 2004. I've been with them ever since. I worked for them for a year and a half as well.
Mhm.
That was an interesting experience. So
Right.
it was my mother who started that for me.
Okay, so then there is proof in itself that, that is where it starts, right? It starts with
Mm-hmm.
us, whoever that may be, right? Getting, advocating for yourself
Mm-hmm.
helps you to advocate for others at the same
Correct.
time. So
Correct.
that's an important message. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you panelists for joining us. I really appreciate you coming here and being vulnerable and sharing your stories. I'm going to go ahead and close out our session here. So just to recap, bottom line is caring for yourself. How does it show up in advocacy? Modeling the message, right? So you're getting confidence in order to model that message. You speak from a grounded place. You claim your seat at the table and you sustain the work. And you inspire others when you care for yourself. This is how it shows up in advocacy. Storytelling and mindset. So think about it. Storytelling for impact. You want to share what happened, how it felt, what helped, and what you wish others knew. Reframing the narrative. This is an important one. Shifting blame to empowerment. Write an affirmation or create a vision board. These are my vision boards. We don't have time to go into this, but vision boards are a powerful tool for your mind. In the top right-hand corner, you see I made one for my son. It took me 5 minutes, but it made me feel so much better and got my mind back on track to feeling empowered. So that's another tool that would be helpful. And I have a couple of slides with resources. This is a slide that I shared on the previous session that has the state of Michigan resources, different entities that we partner with that are great to get connected into. We've got the National Federation for Families. We've got Michigan Family Voices, Michigan Family to Family, just a wide array of entities that you can get involved in, along with ACMH Then we also have our global, there's some global groups that you could get involved in, or just check out some of their resources. That's important. And then we also have, I wanted to let you know that the materials I'm going to share with you, like I said, the slide deck, the handouts, the recording. If you need a certificate of completion, please feel free to let me know. We also are having a Youth Mental Health Awareness Day. ACMH is hosting, along with Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network Youth United, on May 21st. So that the image here I have linked out to the registration for that, and I'll share that in the follow-up email. And this series will be posted on YouTube. The first session is out there already, but this session will be out on YouTube if you want to share it with anyone else who you think might benefit. And again, if you need a certificate, just let me know. If you're interested in joining our Parent Advisory Committee, we're always welcoming new members. Also our Youth Advisory Committee. If you know any youth out there that need to get plugged in to building their support network, this is a great way to do that. And just to recap what we covered today, we heard powerful stories about how self-advocacy can create change. Our panelists shared strategies for building confidence and setting boundaries. We explored ways to care for your well-being while navigating systems. And we're reminded that support is always within reach through community, connection, and each other. So looking ahead, we have session 3, communication techniques, on May 12th. Session 4 is navigating systems and building partnerships on June 9th. I'll be sending out the link for the information about that to you soon. And then we also have an evaluation. We want to know how this session went for you, the good, the bad, the ugly, because whatever the case is, we use it to implement improvements. And we appreciate your feedback very much. So with that, I will end the session. I will again say thank you to our panelists for joining us today. And thank you to everyone for being here and joining us. We appreciate it. And we want you to know that you can stay in contact with us. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.